At number 10, Whoopi Goldberg. I think we've all had one of those moments where we try to quietly let out a fart and it just comes out louder than expected. Trying to be sneaky about it doesn't always work out, and the same went for Whoopi Goldberg, or at least that's what she tried to convince us of. In December of 2014, Whoopi was on air of The View talking with singer Ashanti about flu shots. While in the middle of the conversation, a loud noise was heard which sounded like a long toot, which ended the conversation pretty abruptly.
Not get the shot. I feel like, why do I want to inject something into my skin that's gonna make—
Excuse me?
Yeah, whoa.
Whoopi stood up and excused herself for her gassiness, blaming it on a breakfast burrito that she had earlier. Why is it always the burritos that get blamed for these things? Burritos do not deserve that kind of bad rep. Anyway, the embarrassing incident was dubbed Fartgate, and the clip of the incident was being circulated around the internet, being viewed thousands of times. In the end though, Whoopi came out and said that it wasn't actually a fart and that it was a noise that just came out of nowhere, and she decided to be funny and play it off. Maybe that's true, or maybe she was just so embarrassed that she needed to blame it on something else. There wasn't a dog there, so she had to say, you know, anything. At number 9, 50 Cent. For a lot of celebrities, throwing the first pitch at a baseball game can be a momentous moment in their careers. Being one of the members of the Celebrity Baseball Club, you would be joined by singers, actors, and even some members of Sesame Street. So your first pitch may hold the attention of many. Unfortunately for rapper 50 Cent, his first pitch was one of his most embarrassing moments just because it was so bad.
And his first pitch was not great. Just a bit outside.
His first pitch has been dubbed one of the worst first pitches in history because of how terrible that throw was. It is said that his throw was about 20 feet off course and that the ball nearly hit a cameraman. He made a big deal about his physique and athleticism leading up to this, and even had some great throws while practicing, but I guess you can say he dropped the ball on this one. Ha. I'm not funny. When asked what went wrong, his excuse was that he threw out his arm from pleasuring himself too much, so do with that information what you will. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like on the video because it really helps to support the channel. At number 8, Billie Eilish. If you are a famous performing artist, I'm sure that one of the worst things that could happen to you on stage is forgetting your own song. Well, unfortunately, this is exactly what happened with Billie Eilish at her concert at Coachella. During her 2019 performance, Billie was singing her song All the Good Girls Go to Hell when she suddenly forgot the words to her song. In the moment, you could tell that Billie was a little flustered by her brain fart, but her loyal fans came to her aid as they sang her song and helped her get back on track. This was her first time performing at an event like this, so that kind of pressure was probably what caused her to slip up like that, but it must have still been quite embarrassing for her. At number 7, Adele. Are you guys familiar with that scene in Mean Girls where Katy breaks the spring fling queen crown into pieces and shares it with the other girls? Well, that's kind of what happened with Adele at the 2017 Grammy Awards. Adele ended up winning the award for Album of the Year for her album 25, beating out Beyonce's Lemonade album. Well, this win took Adele by surprise, and when she was giving her acceptance speech, she said that she didn't deserve the award, saying, quote, "I can't possibly accept this award, and I'm very humbled and very grateful and gracious, but my life is Beyonce, and the album to me, the Lemonade album, Beyonce was so monumental and so well thought out," end quote. Well, in an almost Mean Girls sort of way, Adele ended up snapping her Grammy in half on stage. In the embarrassing moment, people thought that Adele was breaking her award in half to symbolically share it with Beyonce, but it turns out the break was just an accidental embarrassing moment. Luckily, the Academy was able to replace it with a brand new one though. At number 6, Sofia Vergara. Wardrobe malfunctions are very unfortunate events for anyone, but imagine how embarrassing that must be for a celebrity. Having malfunctions while surrounded by cameras and prying eyes must take the embarrassment level up to a million, because you know that these pictures are going to live on the internet forever. Well, for Sofia Vergara at the 2012 Emmy Awards, this is kind of what happened to her. Just 20 minutes before winning an Emmy for the show Modern Family, Sofia had a wardrobe malfunction that caused her dress to rip, tearing a hole along the backside of her dress. The dress's zipper broke, exposing Sofia's bare butt, and she even had someone take a picture of it for her so she could see the damage. Being a good sport about it, she shared some of the images of the malfunction with her followers and kept them updated on her dress's status over the course of the night. She was able to just laugh it off since it wasn't a huge deal after getting it fixed, but it still must have been quite the embarrassing moment. At At number 5, Katy Perry. Back in 2008, when Katy Perry was just blowing up, she was asked to perform at the MTV Latin America Awards. She was still riding the hype from her song I Kissed a Girl, so the award show figured that bringing her in would get them a lot of viewers. Well, let's just say that her appearance at the show was totally worth it. While performing her hit song, Katy had a giant cake brought out as a prop. Yes, a real cake with real icing. Anyways, during her performance, she decided to jump onto the cake, but not very gracefully though, more like a belly flop, covering herself in frosting. Well, as if that wasn't embarrassing enough, after she got off the cake, she started sliding around, unable to keep her balance. She ended up falling several times, failing to get up because the icing was so slippery, and even her guitarist was having a hard time keeping her up. This all happened live, so I'm sure it was super embarrassing for her. The award show, however, brought in some serious media attention after that. At number 4, Matthew McConaughey. One of Matthew McConaughey's more embarrassing moments has to come from his arrest in 1999, where he was detained while naked in his house playing bongos. It's a wild story. Basically, Matt here was just living his best life, playing bongos and getting high while on his couch naked when the police were called and arrested the actor for, quote, disturbing the peace. He described his night as being a jam session where he opened his windows while listening to African beats and smoking until he was interrupted by police officers barging into his house and handcuffing him on the ground. Matthew also recalled refusing to cover himself up while being detained. While being escorted from his house, he recalled his neighbors gathering and watching him from their houses. By the next morning, news of this incident broke around the world, and 2 days later, Bongo Naked t-shirts were being sold. This embarrassing moment ended up becoming merch, and his unfortunate jam session is now one of his most famous embarrassing moments. At number 3, Madonna. Remember in the Incredibles movie when Edna Mode said no capes? Well, Madonna should have listened to that. While performing at the Brit Awards in 2015, Madonna experienced some embarrassment with a side of whiplash after an unfortunate cape incident. It all happened when she was performing a bit of a stunt where she was supposed to untie the cape that she was wearing for her dancers to rip off dramatically, but things didn't really turn out that way. Instead, Madonna wasn't able to untie the cape since it was tied too tight, and so when the dancers went to yank off the cape, she was pulled down too. In a turn of events, Giorgio Armani released a statement about the incident since the cape in question was made by their company, saying that the cape originally had a hook, but Madonna insisted that she have strings instead, so the malfunction wasn't their fault. Luckily, the singer wasn't too badly injured and was able to carry on performing after the incident, but it was still an embarrassing moment. At number 2, Drake. Speaking of Madonna, she was the cause of one of Drake's embarrassing moments back in 2015. While performing at Coachella that year, Madonna planted a big old kiss on the rapper, and he did not take it well. Drake's disgusted reaction of the kiss went viral online, mainly Vine. Oh, how I miss Vine. Later on, Drake issued a statement about the kiss, saying that his reaction was taken out of context and that he wasn't grossed out because of the kiss itself, but because of the gross taste of her lipstick. It was still a funny moment, and it was a little embarrassing for Drake, but amazing meme fuel. At number 1, Justin Bieber. Earlier we talked about how Billie Eilish forgot the words to her own song, but here's another instance of a singer failing to perform their own song, but instead of it being because of nerves or pressure, it was just chalked up to language. 2017 was the year of Despacito. Everyone was obsessed with the song, that is until we got sick of hearing it on the radio every 10 minutes. Well, when asked to perform his hit song, Justin had a little trouble, and not only was it embarrassing, it was just plain sad. Instead of singing the real words to his song, he instead replaced the lyrics with Spanish words that he already knew. For example, he sang, quote, "I don't know the words, so I say Dorito. I don't know the words, so I say poquito, and I ate a burrito." I'm not very fluent in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure those aren't the words. You would think that he would at least know enough Spanish to get through his own song, but sadly no. Instead, he sort of made a fool of himself on stage and pretty much butchered his own song. At number 10, Christina Aguilera. At highly publicized events, celebrities always go out of their way to look their best. Same goes for celebrity funerals. Though they're somber events, the pictures and videos from the gathering will no doubt be shared on the internet afterwards, and celebrities still want to look their best to respect and honor the one who's passed. This was probably what Christina Aguilera was thinking when she was preparing for Etta James' funeral in 2012, where she was tasked with singing the singer's late song, At Last. Christina seemingly got a fresh spray tan for the event, but the pressure of singing at her idol's funeral was seemingly too much for the tan to handle, and it started to run. Videos and pictures captured brown liquid running down the singer's legs as she belted the song, and she even tried blending it with her other leg or her sleeve. It was embarrassing in the moment, but Christina still powered through to give a powerful performance to honor her idol anyway. At number 9, Demi Lovato. I can't say I've ever been interviewed, at least, you know, that's not a job interview, but I think it wouldn't be as easy as some celebrities make it look. Answering questions about a wide array of topics seems like a very stressful task, probably because I'm just a shy and uninteresting person. But for Demi Lovato, fans thought that maybe the pressure of being interviewed got to her a little bit, as she answered one reporter's question in a funny yet mildly embarrassing way. While being interviewed, the reporter asked Demi what her favorite dish was, dish being in reference to a certain type of food, but Demi interpreted it as a serving dish and replied that mugs were her favorite dish.
I like mugs because they're very comfortable in your hand and they hold the hot things that you don't have to touch. So, you know, coffee or hot tea.
Cringy and embarrassing to watch, I know. Later on, after the internet got a good laugh, Demi came out to clarify that her response to the question was just a joke, but even so, it was still super cringy to watch her go on about the appeal of mugs. Before I carry on with our list, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on the video and maybe hitting that subscribe button while you're at it. It helps us grow our YouTube family and we would love your support. At number 8, Lady Gaga. Wardrobe malfunctions are my worst nightmare. I'm sure that many people would agree with me on this, and the thought that a public wardrobe malfunction would make anyone want to crawl into a deep, dark hole for a while. Celebrities endure wardrobe malfunctions all the time, but they're still embarrassing, and Lady Gaga is one celebrity who knows that all too well. While performing in Vancouver in 2013, Lady Gaga suffered a wardrobe malfunction on stage in front of thousands of fans. It all happened when the skin-tight leather Versace catsuit that she was wearing for her performance of her song Heavy Metal Lover ripped along right up the booty. She carried on the rest of her performance with a pretty sizable rip along her backside, revealing the fishnet tights that she was wearing underneath. But after the show, when the images of her malfunction hit the internet, that's when Gaga had to deal with body shamers. People were saying that she was too big for the suit and were making unnecessary comments about her body. In Gaga fashion, she used this as an opportunity to talk about body positivity with her fans, so in the end, she turned the embarrassing moment into a positive learning experience. At number 7, Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles has been and always will be a heartthrob. My fellow Supernatural fans will surely attest to that. Every production he's in is incredible, and every interview he gives makes fans love him even more, and every photo shoot he posed for is always a winner. Well, maybe not always. Back in '99, Jensen did a cowboy-themed photo shoot, and though some of the photos turned out decent, many others were just cringy and embarrassing. I'm sorry, Jensen, but as quirky as you are, this is not a good look for you. Jensen, where are your shoes? These photos are just full of weird 90s energy, and I kinda like it, but it also makes me cringe a little. But you guys be the judge. Cringy and embarrassing, or cute and endearing? Let me know. At number 6, Taylor Swift. When I was a kid, I saw that famous Marilyn Monroe moment where she stands over the subway grate and her dress goes flying up just for her to hold it down all cute and sexy, and I thought to myself, that right there is how you get the boys. Kidding. I have yet to actually try that trick out, but one person, other than Marilyn, of course, has. Sort of. In 2011, while performing at her concert in St. Louis, Missouri, Taylor had a bit of a dress mishap that was reminiscent of that Marilyn Monroe scene. While singing her song, You Belong to Me, she got a little too close to a fan and it blew up her skirt. But instead of being graceful like Marilyn, it was just plain embarrassing. The fan blew her blue dress straight up, revealing her nude, seamless underwear, and Taylor even laughed at it a little bit, seemingly embarrassed. She kept on singing her song like nothing happened, but unfortunately, that moment will live on the internet forever. At number 5, Leonardo DiCaprio. If you thought those pictures of Jensen Ackles was cringy, just you wait until I show you some pictures from what is probably one of the most embarrassing and wacky photo shoots I have ever seen. David LaChapelle is one of Hollywood's best photographers. He's worked with a lot of the biggest names in Hollywood, from Kim Kardashian to Amanda Lepore, and he snapped photos for all kinds of occasions featuring all kinds of themes. Well, there's a collection of photos that David took of Leonardo DiCaprio back in the 90s. They're definitely something. In what some people have called Leo's most embarrassing photo shoot, we got pictures like this, of the actor punching what looks like the lake monster from that one episode of Kim Possible, this image of Leo looking like he's practicing his shot put form, and my personal favorite, Banana Leo, looking like he's ready to perform an artistic rendition of the Wiggles fruit salad. They're all so bizarre and cringy, but I'm kind of glad that these exist because they're also super fun to look at. At number 4, Jessica Simpson. Not everyone can be well versed in the culinary arts. You know, some people can name 50 types of cheeses and determine the doneness of their steak just by touching it, and others struggle to tell the difference between chicken and fish. I'm sure if you're familiar with the 2003 reality show Newlyweds, Nick and Jessica, you might know what I'm talking about. During the first episode of Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson's reality show about their new life as a married couple, there was a scene where the newlyweds were sitting on the couch eating when Jessica asked her husband whether she was eating chicken or fish.
Is this chicken what I have, or is this fish? I know it's tuna, but it says chicken by the sea. That's stupid.
Nick had to clarify that the brand of tuna that they were eating was chicken of the sea, but that it did not in fact contain any chicken, and that it was just an expression. This mix-up had people laughing and caused some embarrassment for Jessica, as this simple mistake caused her to be laughed at by so many. In later years, she's become a good sport with the meme and has even used it herself on a few occasions. At number 3, Cara Delevingne. If there's anything we've learned about Hollywood, it's that paparazzi are everywhere trying to uncover the latest celebrity drama or juicy scoop. Always getting in people's faces, they're obnoxious, but sometimes that pays off because they can expose celebrity secrets. This is what happened in 2013 as paparazzi got very close to model Cara Delevingne as she was getting into her house, and as she reached for her keys, something mysterious fell out of her pocket. Photographers zoomed in on a tiny bag that fell out of the model's pocket, revealing a suspicious white powdery substance inside. In a fit of embarrassment and split-second thinking, Cara quickly moved her foot and stepped on the bag in an attempt to block it from the camera's view, but the damage was already done, and the quick snaps of the camera already captured what would eventually lead into the next Hollywood scandal. Many people suspected that what Cara had been carrying in her bag was a little bag of no-no snow, and that made some brands panic, and this was bad publicity for them. This all led to Cara losing her deal with H&M, for which she was going to be the new face of their new campaign. It was an embarrassing slip-up that cost her her job, but she's since bounced back and it's like nothing ever happened. At number 2, Kanye West. Raise your hand if you've ever accidentally walked into a pole, or a door, or a wall, or just anything really. Me. If you're alone and you accidentally bump into a wall or something, then it's fine, but when you're with other people or out in public, these little accidents can be super embarrassing. That's what happened with Kanye West in 2013 while out with Kim K. This happened while Kim was pregnant, and so as they were walking together and paparazzi caught up with them, Kanye got protective of her and their unborn child and wanted to keep their heads down and away from the cameras. Well, I guess the flashing and snapping of the cameras was too distracting for the rapper, as he ended up walking headfirst into a sign.
Oh! Kanye! Oh, Kanye. Kanye, you okay? You okay? Are you okay? Stop taking
He was a little shaken, and Kim even stopped to make sure that he was okay, but this injury angered Kanye as he proceeded to yell and curse at the surrounding paparazzi, getting them to leave them alone. I think my favorite part of this whole thing is the fact that he walked into a wrong way sign. Like, the fact that the sign itself was like, danger, is just so funny to me. Sorry, Kanye. And finally, at number 1, Iggy Azalea. I think if I was a performing artist, my biggest fears would be messing up choreography, forgetting my own song, and falling off the stage. Many performers have unfortunately experienced one of these things, and Iggy Azalea is one of those people. During a pre-VMAs performance in 2014, Iggy Azalea was performing her hit song Fancy when she took a not-so-graceful tumble off the stage. She was performing alongside Charli XCX and fell while walking backwards while rapping. Luckily, she walked away without any injuries and was even able to continue rapping even when she was on the floor. I think she only missed about a few words but just got right back into the song as people started helping her back up to the stage. Luckily, this embarrassing moment was overshadowed by the other drama happening at the VMAs that year, including an incident of one of Nicki Minaj's dancers being bitten by a snake while rehearsing for their song Anaconda. I guess she had some, because the anaconda wanted it.
At number 10, Mariah Carey. Even though Mariah is still our skinny legend queen of the holidays, that doesn't just make her exempt from embarrassment. Mariah has had plenty of embarrassing moments over the years, but the majority of those cringe moments take place on stage when everyone is watching and some are filming the entire thing unfold. One of her cringiest moments happened back in 2016 during her New Year's Rockin' Eve performance. During this live performance, Mariah had a bit of a malfunction and it messed up the entire show. All night they had been teasing a huge performance from the singer as they rang in the new year, and at the very end of the night, she finally took the stage and didn't sing a single note. When she got out to perform and the music started playing, she just stood there, frozen. And she said that she couldn't hear anything in her earpiece. As the music played for the audience, Mariah's dancers kept on going in the background as was rehearsed, and she even shared her microphone with the audience, getting them to sing for her, but nothing ever came out of her own mouth. A lot of people were left disappointed by this performance because they were hyped up and Mariah just didn't deliver, and it got a lot of fans wondering why she didn't sing even though there was music playing. Some people think that this is proof that she's been lip syncing, but regardless of that theory, it was still a super embarrassing moment. At number 9, Rob Kardashian. The Kardashians have certainly had their fair share of embarrassing moments. Many of them have been caught on camera while filming their reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but many of their cringy moments also happen on social media. Most Kardashian cringe comes from the famous sisters, but back in 2012, Rob Kardashian had an embarrassing moment of his own. The Kardashian brother took to Twitter because he had some pretty exciting news to share with his followers, but this message sort of fell flat and ended up with him taking a one-way trip to Cringe City. He sent out a tweet telling his fans that he was going to law school soon, saying, quote, "Going to law school very soon and so excited and can't wait. School just never ends. Hashtag University of Southern Cal, hashtag Trojans, hashtag fight on." No one had any reason to believe that this was fake because why would you lie about going to school? But soon the school itself had to come out and set the record straight for everyone. The school tweeted saying Rob hadn't even applied to USC Law, and they even tagged some big news outlets in their tweets so they could finally set the record straight. No one really knows what went on there, but it was really embarrassing. Now before I carry on with our list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also head on over to my gaming channel Viper Girl if you're interested in watching some fun gaming content hosted by yours truly. At number 8, Doug Williams. Imagine getting up in front of an audience just to get absolutely roasted by someone. This isn't an uncommon thing as celebrity roasts are pretty popular, but it's different when you're not the one who's supposed to be getting roasted. This happened with comedian Doug Williams as he was invited to be part of a comedy roast, and it was super embarrassing. Doug here was invited to be part of the lineup at Shaq's All-Star Comedy Roast of football player Emmitt Smith. He was part of a pretty good lineup of other comedians, so the pressure was really on to do well in front of his peers. That night, after being introduced by host Jamie Foxx, he started his set. After a few punchlines, Jamie started to chime in, interrupting Doug and putting him in the hot seat rather than Emmitt. Jamie started mocking Doug's jokes and punchlines and really just roasted him relentlessly. It was a lot to take in, especially for Doug, who wasn't expecting the tables to be turned like that. That moment was not only incredibly embarrassing, but also pretty career-altering, and Doug just wasn't the same since. At number 7, Khloe Kardashian. Now we just talked about one Kardashian, and like I said, they've all had their embarrassing moments, so let's talk about a recent cringe moment from Khloe Kardashian. Recently, Khloe had an oh crap moment after an unedited photo of her was accidentally posted to social media. Now, she and her sisters have had many embarrassing photo moments, but this was seemingly a huge deal to Khloe because it hadn't been edited and she wasn't looking perfect. The post was quickly circulated on the internet before it was finally taken down, and Khloe and her team have been trying to cover it all up since. Khloe takes her public image very seriously and says that she's insecure and embarrassed by that photo because of how she's portrayed. She also sees this unedited photo as pretty damaging shocking because people always see her as perfect, and straying from this could hurt her image. Now, I don't think that this photo is nearly as embarrassing as others that she's posted. In fact, I don't think it's embarrassing at all. The only cringe that I find here is the fact that she doesn't even post her own things because this was all done by one of her assistants. At number 6, Steve Harvey. You can't take anything back when on live TV. When it's done, and no matter how badly you wish no one saw, chances are that thousands of people just witnessed your embarrassing moment. When I think of cringy live TV moments, I think of what happened to Steve Harvey back in 2015 during the Miss Universe competition, where he made one of the biggest mistakes in TV history. Steve was the host of the competition last year, and he was given the all-important task of reading off the name of the winner. Well, it was all coming down to the wire as the final vote was being read, and it was down to the last two contestants, Miss Colombia and Miss Philippines. There was a pause for dramatic effect, and Steve read off the name on the card, crowning Miss Colombia as the winner. There were cheers, but soon confusion set in. Just a few moments later, Steve shyly returned to the stage to announce that he had actually read the card wrong, and that Miss Colombia was actually the runner-up. The embarrassment didn't stop there, as they had to take the crown from Miss Colombia and then give it to Miss Philippines, the actual winner. The look on Steve's face in that moment said it all. He knew he was in big trouble, and you could tell how embarrassed he was in that moment. It is one moment that he will probably never be able to live down. At number 5, Robert Downey Jr. Here's a story that I haven't been able to get out of my head, and it's oh so cringy and hilarious. Do you remember last year when there was a debate going on online where people were trying to determine who was Hollywood's worst Chris? Well, when it came down to it, a lot of people said that Guardians of the Galaxy actor Chris Pratt was the worst Chris. In a show of support for his MCU brethren, Robert Downey Jr. came in to defend Chris, and he did so by posting a photo of him and Chris together. It was a nice wholesome moment until fans realized that this photo looked pretty familiar, and then realized that there was something missing, and then realized that the thing that was missing was in fact Tom Holland. RDJ was then promptly exposed for photoshopping Tom out of his photo. It was super embarrassing, but also so funny. You just can't Photoshop my darling Tom out of things. At number 4, Tom Holland. But speaking of my darling Tom Holland, I think we all know where I'm going with this. Tom here is the king of leaking things on his social media, and it's always so embarrassing to watch happen. Tom seems to have gotten the hang of his social media thing lately, but there was a time when everyone would search Tom's posts and Instagram stories for new information on upcoming MCU films just because he was so notorious for leaking sensitive information. There was a time where he accidentally revealed the title of the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, Far From Home, and there's also that time when he showed off the unreleased posters for Avengers Infinity War, although a lot of people thought that one was actually staged. There was even a time when Tom's social media accidents were so common that when a rumor started going around that Tom had accidentally uploaded the entire Avengers Endgame film to Twitter, he actually believed it because it sounded like something he would do. He also needs to be chaperoned while doing interviews about MCU projects because of how many times he has almost spoiled things. Each accidental leak is super embarrassing, but we just can't be upset with him. At number 3, Dakota Johnson. 50 Shades actress Dakota Johnson is pretty used to having her body exposed to the public, but that doesn't mean that it isn't embarrassing when that sort of thing happens unexpectedly. She once had an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction while at an award show, and coincidentally it happened when she was accepting an award for her role in one of the 50 Shades movies. At the People's Choice Awards in 2016, she went up on stage to accept her award, and when she went in to hug the presenter, one of the straps of her crop top snapped, and she had to do some quick thinking to hold up her top with one hand while taking her award in the other. Luckily, she got some help from the presenter and other people who were up on stage with her, but it was still slightly embarrassing. Luckily though, she was able to laugh it all off, as the first thing she said when she walked up to the microphone was, quote, "It's not like no one here has already seen my boobs." Good one, Dakota. At number 2, Niall Horan. Embarrassing moments happen when you least expect them. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be all that embarrassing. But for most people, if you have an embarrassing moment, there normally isn't anyone lurking trying to spot something cringy from you, but the same can't exactly be said for celebrities since the paparazzi is always around. Former One Direction member Niall Horan had one of his embarrassing moments captured by the paparazzi, and they turned this embarrassing moment into a headline. In March of 2016, Niall was seen leaving a club in West Hollywood when paparazzi caught up with him. In an effort to catch a glimpse of the former boy band member, photographers followed him and ended up capturing a little more than they bargained for as they snapped photos of the singer peeing in public. Yep. There are pictures on the internet of Niall Horan peeing on a wall. He probably didn't expect to be caught doing what he was doing, but he did, and when his photos ended up in the tabloids the next day, it was cringe city for the singer. And finally, at number 1, Tristan Shapiro. Here's a story to remind you to always be mindful of your surroundings when talking trash. I'm kidding, don't talk trash about people unless you want to be caught in an embarrassing moment like director Tristan Shapiro. The director was exposed after Euphoria star Lucas Gage posted about how a director was mocking his LA apartment during a Zoom audition. A clip of this embarrassing moment was shared on social media, and it showed Tristan talking about how crappy Lucas's apartment was. The director didn't realize that he wasn't muted when making his comments, and Lucas heard everything and called him out for it. There is no doubt that Tristan was embarrassed in that moment when he realized what happened. He did issue an apology for his remarks, but man, I am cringing just thinking about it.